Court is in session. Jack Galt has been accused of 1,984 murders. How do you plead? Okay, so on your jaunt through Rapture, let's see how long your rap sheet is. After taking the quick way down to the drink, the passage to the lighthouse went swimmingly. Then taking the ride down to Rapture, it's time to start. It should be easy. All we need to do is don't be evil. After acquiring our Motorola Dynatac, we can be in constant contact with Atlas.
Would you kindly pick up that shortwave radio? Take a deep breath and step out of the bathysphere. Now, would you kindly find a crowbar or something?
A tool definitely only useful for tightening nuts and bashing bricks, then head upstairs. A splicer, one of the many denizens of Rapture, intent on murdering us, but on our crusade to in fact not be evil, we can just run past. Except we can't. See, the game won't trigger for us to get upstairs and grab the goodies from the vending machine until he's out of the way, let's say. We obviously can't hit him with our large piece of iron, but instead... And it was the funniest thing, a most terrible accident occurred. He just kept running at me as I hid behind the bench. He just died. What a shame.
Objection! Your client's actions very clearly and very directly led to his death, meaning that by the rule of law, you very directly murdered him.
Hold it!
No, my client was simply going about their day and tried to run away. How can he be to blame for Stuart the Splicer running repeatedly into a bench that was on fire?
The defendant taunted the victim to his death. If he hadn't been there, Stuart Splicerson III would be sitting down for dinner with his family instead of sitting down in the morgue.
Come on, Rando, think. The bench! So, would you say the bench was in fact the murder weapon?
Well, clearly.
Then you must also accept that Stuart kicked it down the stairs first, meaning his action brought about his own death, and therefore this was a suicide, and my client is innocent. So after getting a hold of our first plasmid, we can happily progress through the tunnels, and we wind up here in a locked room. And to progress, this man needs to have an unfortunate accident, and this door will then open. However, there isn't a way in here currently to inflict damage.
Hold it!
We'll come back to this later. After that, we can run past everyone and slink up to the medical pavilion proper. And then, following on from letting everyone bonk us with their large unwieldy rods in the men's toilets, we can run past and are introduced to the Little Sisters. Now, these lovely little bundles of existential dread act as the game's levelling system. We can either rescue them or harvest them. Now, harvesting them gives double the amount of Adam as rescuing them, but, well, take a look for yourself. Yes, I know that's murder, so in our quest to not being evil, we'll have to rescue them all. Now that's all fine and dandy, but there's someone else who would rather that we didn't. Not quite sure how that'll end up going down. Still, that's a future rando problem. The water's pouring in, and we have a plasmid at the ready. We can just shock the water and then... yeah, that all seems a bit murdery. So this area is crawling with splicers. What can we do? Well, they'll follow us around the arena as if we're the Messiah, but we are in fact a naughty boy, and can lead them to accidentally haphazardly setting themselves on fire with the aid of a nearby flame turret. Now they're all toast, we can hack the security camera. We need to do so it gets out of the way. Even better, it then follows us and shoots anyone who tries to attack us. Brilliant!
Hold it! So, by your own admission, you're saying that you hacked the machine specifically so it could murder things? Your Honour, I think this is clear-cut. The law is very clear. Endangering life, even under the guise of a machine proxy, still proves the defendant's causation and intent.
They have us dead to rights here. Maybe I can just chance it. Absolutely! My client simply misspoke. What he meant to say was that the machine went haywire and started to attack people after he fixed it.
Objection!
Your Honour, even if that was the case, the defendant's actions still led to the death of an innocent person, making him by definition a murderer.
Hold it!
Incorrect. His actions led to the security camera working. All he did was reconnect its pipes back up like this. Then the machine went off on its own and killed people. It was a tragic accident.
Objection!
This is a clear attempt to obfuscate the truth. Your client's interference with the machine directly led to the deaths of innocent people. This can be interpreted as nothing but murder.
Objection!
He did nothing of the sort. He simply fixed the thing, and then, because of his actions, it wanted to protect the person that fixed it.
This is ridiculous. You are quite literally to blame for this. What the fuck? Why?
So after the security camera tragically, unfortunately goes on a rampage and takes out all of the Rapturians following after us, we can head to the following rooms, where there are some nasty gun turrets shooting at us, and in our endeavours to not be evil, it'd be better to turn them off as they're obviously malfunctioning. Now these gun turrets are fixed, let's push forwards. No, run away, please, they'll hurt you. They'll shoot you, go, oh no. What a tragedy, he died. Who could have ever foreseen this happening?
Objection!
He did it again. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
After having a series of unfortunate accidents, we can run through the furnace room, grab Incinerate, perfect for melting random bits of ice dotted around the place, instead of this lovely petrol trap just sat there waiting for us to enjoy the aroma of burning hells. We can simply run away from all of our problems and head into aesthetic ideals, whereby we immediately need another plasmid. We need something to deal with this now pile of rubble. So back to the main hub and... aha! There appear to be lots of people chasing us. So let's run around and hide. And they mysteriously start dying. I even heard the turrets going berserk. What a terrible shame. After melting the ice blocking our path, it's time to go and grab yet another plasmid. This time it'll help us clear that blocked path by plucking Lemon's favourite consumable out of the air. We can launch it at the debris and move forwards. Now this next corridor has Dr. Death waiting for us, as well as a well-placed gun turret. But I made a terrible mistake. You see, at the minute, I only have 2 plasmid slots, and we currently have 3 plasmids. Meaning we can't access one of them, which should be fine if I didn't accidentally replace the Electrobolt with telekinesis, meaning I can't wander up and accidentally on purpose make the turrets stop attacking me. I can't even change what's equipped, because to do that you need to reach one of these machines, a gene bank. So instead we'll have to improvise. After slinking into the side room, looting it for all it's worth, we can stop the camera from alerting when we come into view, and try to adjust the nuts and bolts on the turret. Now it's a quick trot to the surgery and we meet the good doctor in his element performing discount BBLs. His prices are criminal, so to give us a leaflet he blasts a bunch of holes in the glass and chases after us. Unfortunately he's following quite aggressively to book us in for a consultation. However, we can return to the waiting room to cool off, and after he storms in, the camera clocks him and unfortunately, all of the cameras shoot at him. I tried to get them to stop, but after the alarm ran out and I went back into the waiting room, he came in again and proceeded to get shot. Lots. Terrible business that. Right as he was close to shuffling off to the great big hospital in the sky, I did accelerate his progress by accidentally setting some petrol on fire.
Do I really need to argue this one?
Hold it!
Exactly! We can move on. Nothing wrong happened here.
You literally set him on fire. If we're going by this logic, you might as well start using a pistol and say the bullet killed him, not me.
Now, that is a good line of thinking.
No, it isn't. Don't be evil. Stop murdering and get on with the video.
So, reloading a previous save that was a little further back than I expected, 53 minutes and 32 deaths later, we're still not quite back to where we were. However, previously I thought in my 13 video that this was the slowest RPG of all time. However, the crown has been taken. I don't think that was supposed to go quite that slowly. Still, I'll take it. And also, utilise a new strategy. Get shot at by a turret whilst someone else tries to hit you with a wrench, repeatedly until they die. And this is where, well, look, just roll the clip. I didn't even want to click. I shit myself. That scared me, and I hit my mouse on the side of my keyboard. So, yeah, I jump scare murdered someone with a wrench. Back we go! Again. And eventually we're back here with the liposuction consultant, this time with electricity, and this time with all the cameras being hacked. Sorry, repaired. And after leading the MD into the murder corridor, running away from him accidentally into the path of said cameras and turrets, we can take everything from his pockets. And it's here we can acquire quite an interesting plasmid, static discharge. It's a dubious one. You see, all it does is zap someone like an electric fence when they hit you. That's it. It does, however, do a very, very, very small amount of damage. I'd argue it's fine. It's not my fault if someone repeatedly clocks me with a wrench until they die due to getting zapped, much like how a toaster salesman isn't a murderer when someone decides to take it for a swim. However, I think I might know of someone who may have differing opinions on the matter.
Meet me at the pub, 10 minutes.
Look, what I'm offering you will change your life. All I want for you to do is to let this slide a little bit with the static charge plasmid. Right, we good?
Yeah, okay, deal.
Shortly after dealing with the GP, it's now time to meet up with a small child. Obviously, we need to rescue all of them. Now, these little sisters provide something called Adam. It's a resource that lets you buy permanent upgrades, or plasmids, so getting a hold of it is very useful. However, aside from this very first freebie, we need to do something to be able to rescue any of them. The big daddies. These wandering hunks of brass protect them, and the only way to rescue the little sisters is to, well... we're going to need to engineer a way for the diving connoisseurs to get out of the picture. Should be fine aside from them actually being walking tanks and hit like a truck with a hint of road rage. So how are we going to do it? Well, we have some tools in our arsenal to get the job done. First though, we can nip to the Gatherer's Garden and spend some of that Adam we got. Picking up Armoured Shell to improve our general damage resistance, and maybe the most singularly useful plasmid in the entire run.
Enrage!
Sorry, I don't quite know what came over me. Well,
Enrage!
Let's us do what it says on the tin. It makes anyone you use it on rather grumpy, and they'll begin infighting. Usually. You see, this plasmid has an extra mechanic that initially seems useless, and quite frankly a detriment. But it is in fact the most important piece of strategy in this whole run. When you use
Enrage!
on an enemy by themselves, they will attack you, the player. Again, not very helpful, but what if there were neutral enemies we needed to kill? Well, wouldn't that be a potentially useful thing to do? The plasmid animation also has the rather unfortunate appearance of looking like, well, it's sort of, let's put it this way, our protagonist here now doesn't require his girlfriend Pam anymore. After finding our first diving dude, we can test things. Turrets that protect us will attack them if they're aggressive. The
Enrage!
plasmid will send the various genetically modified freaks about the place to hurtle towards Big Daddies with a reckless abandon of their long-term health plan. As we already know, static discharge will hurt a Big Daddy. It'll then stay aggroed onto us until we pop our clogs. This first instance, after testing, we've taken off not much health, but there is that room with the RPG turret. If we could convince the Big Daddy to be grumpy with us and get him to be perma-aggro, then we can lead him to this room to meet an explosive end, accidentally on purpose, of course. And getting them to trigger the static discharge is surprisingly easy. Just stand in the way, and eventually they hit you hard enough to trigger it. Then run off and... Caught in the crossfire, we respawn. This is where one of the mechanics of the game comes into play. You see, for us, the protagonist, who has plot armour, and what I mean by that is that we don't actually ever die. We just get dragged back to the nearest cryo tube thingy, and we get to run back into the world, endlessly. But when that happens, the world hasn't changed. So if we go back to this bouncer, you can see he took very heavy damage from the rocket, and he's on his last legs. This is something we can definitely use to our advantage. And eventually, after sending all of the splicers, we can find the first Big Daddy to become Big Daddy, eventually dropping to the tiny sliver of damage that our buttocks mounted taser can deliver. And we're dead. Let's go back, rescue the little sister and carry on. So now it's time to go to Neptune's bounty, the fishing platform. This is where the game decides to start and bite back at our feeble attempts to not be evil and not murder people. Coming out onto the dock, we're greeted by the large father and his short sibling. And this is a slightly different beast to what we've seen previously. This is a Rosie. Instead of trying to expand our rear end with a drill set to Goatsy, they have a rifle and infinite amounts of proximity mines to launch at us. But there is a room full of junkies to hurl at the underwater aficionado, and after the engagement has concluded, a good chunk of health has been stripped from them. Still, not quite enough though. Pushing on with the story, we're told to find a camera. Apparently our holiday snaps will be very useful to someone. We need to take photos of spider splicers. That's these chaps cosplaying as Captain Hook, who crawl on the ceiling like Zack Snyder's Spider-Man. Sounds easy, right? Well, it is. You just take pictures of them. What could possibly be difficult about that? What's going to be far more challenging is fulfilling our quota of small siblings to rescue. The first is a bit of a gimme. As we are standing there, the heavily damaged father figure bonks us as a nitro splicer throws a black firebomb at us, finishing the paternal diver off and letting us rescue his small cargo. And because of our altruistic acts, the small children leaves a present at the Gatherer's Garden. 200 extra Adam, which is very nice, and a very useful plasmid. Hypnotise Big Daddy. Basically, it lets us get the engorged progenitors to follow us. Tricked by our pretend pigtail wig, very useful, but not just yet. For now, we can buy upgrades, and what we need is options. So we pick up an extra plasmid slot. Shortly after, we see the next paternal parent we need to remove, and why is he now following us? I definitely haven't used the Hypnotise Big Daddy plasmid. You can tell because when you do, their helmet light goes green. But he's still following us as if it's active. Now, as an aside, this game is kind of old, and I feel like over time, compatibility with the PC port has been breaking down slowly. That, or it was always a little bit rubbish. For you see, the little sister just keeps standing there, which is very odd. Normally, if you do use the Hypnotise Big Daddy plasmid, the little lady will go headfirst into a hole and leave. Still, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, and having a huge hulking damaged sponge following us around and protecting us at all times is rather useful. And that usefulness is rather short-lived, as our static electricity accidentally aggroes the Rosie, leading to... well, at least they took a healthy grip of damage, so let's go back and remove him some other way. Oh, I'm being followed again. And now we're in a power trio with a minute mistress in tow. Well, isn't the game being nice to me? I love it when it breaks in a way that's super beneficial to me. After clearing the surrounding areas, we still need to figure out a way to remove our daddy issues. And our therapy of choice is being spotted by a camera and letting the bronze man get caught in the crossfire. After security camera shenanigans, another one bites the dust. More toddlers sent home, let's crack on with the story. Pick up the camera, photograph the first splicer, the first of 3, and still meandering around the fishery, we get a new plasmid. Security bullseye. It definitely won't be something a certain somebody will want to rake me over the coals for. Still, we now have a bit of exploring to do, mixed between Jet Postal and the Fighting Tavern. There aren't any issues that moving slowly through, using
Enrage!
and luring back to a camera can't fix. Eventually. After that bit of kerfuffle, there's yet another patriarch to pounce on. And our plan?
Enrage!
Get them to throw mines at us, followed by us taking a claymore jump when they're near, over and over, until eventually he's down. Take a photo of the second splicer, now we just need to find the third and we're off scot-free. If it showed up, which it doesn't, the third spider splicer will never show up for us, and this means this gate will never open either, meaning we're effectively soft-locked. Surely we can in fact parkour our way over this gate, and no. For once, the game is rock solid. There appears to be no way around this. So after searching through the internet, it's a fairly common bug, and the only way to fix it? There isn't one. It's just a case of load an earlier save and get it done quickly. That's going to be fun with our chosen methods of dispatching foes. Right, so let's reload a save and try again. We've only lost about an hour and a half. 45 minutes of which was chipping away very slowly at a single big daddy, but that's fine. It's not frustrating at all. So after hauling our way through the level, ignoring everything that isn't a spider splicer photo op, we can in fact get through the gate. And now start work on the small sibling population. We also come across a useful strategy. You see, when a camera sees you, it'll start to spawn security cameras. That would be a real pain if we couldn't hack them and then utilise their accidental secondary programming. So by running around with cameras in tow, we can begin thinning the herd. This strategy is made even easier by the alert shutdown panel in the same room as the camera. Even better, if you die, the drones just deactivate, meaning you can run back, reactivate them, and have a cloud of rooting tooting bodyguards at the ready. And again, after going through the process of letting their proximity mines do my job for them when I step on them repeatedly, accidentally of course, we can now push through to Fontaine Fisheries, through a locked door and a tube to accept my weapons. Now, normally I would assume that this is a trap, but as we've been such a good upstanding citizen, I'm sure it won't go pear-shaped.
Ryan promised Fontaine was dust, and now here you are doing his dirty. I guess that makes Ryan a bum, and you...
Tricked me?
It is in fact a trap. A lot of chaps appear who want to use my bottom as a toast rack show up, using the Incinerate plasmid to melt stuff, hack everything in sight, plus
Enrage!
Seems to be the plan. If we can't deal damage, then they can fight each other as well as some mechanical adversaries. Let's hide behind this box and wait for all this to blow over. You're not locked in with them, they're locked in with some conveniently well-equipped flying drones dressed up with a pair of AKs. And after they're dealt with, it's time to head to the smuggler's hideout. This section will be incredibly difficult. We have the potential for hours of struggle and strife ahead of us. A challenge unlike any you've ever seen. Are you prepared? Okay, let's go. Run to the end of the tunnel, watch some plot happen, then run away. Whoa, caught out there by the skin of our teeth. Arcadia, the biosphere, an underwater Amazonian forest, but this time with Jeff Bezos in charge of the oxygen supply. And someone has in fact poisoned it. Brilliant! So unless we fix it, everyone is going to die. Let's do the right thing. Just remember, don't be evil, and let's get this place fixed back up. Running around and trying to fix stuff is fine. You know the plan by now. Hack,
Enrage!
run away. It's so nice running through all of this knowing that we're responsible for the deaths of precisely no one. At this point we have some comfy strategies. We know the way through, it's just a case of executing. Although we do get a bit of man-on-man actions with them waving their brass wands around, and this lets us get a tiny Tina to take home. After their epic duel to the death, The second Big Daddy also is looking a little worse for wear. This means when he does nip off and grab yet another gremlin girl, he has far less health for us to deal with. So after he bangs on the pipe, there's yet another sizable sperm donor to just force infighting with, and boom, the child is ours. Then Andrew Ryan murders Dr. Langford remotely by spreading deadly poison, all in her office.
Hold it!
Not so fast, Mr. Rando. This entire time you've argued that the remote operations of drones and cameras does not constitute murder. Yet now we see you contradicting and undermining that very same argument. The veil is beginning to fall, Mr. Rando. We all see you for what you really are. A murderer. Whilst I've enjoyed your banter and your potentially unethical gifts, I believe, Your Honour, based on all the evidence we have, we can render a just verdict here.
Hold it!
Just because the mechanics of death are the same, doesn't mean my client is a murderer.
What do you mean? Of course it does.
Objection!
No, because Andrew Ryan designed this place and the robots. He's fully aware of their capabilities. He purposefully sent them off to kill, whereas my client was simply acting to prevent his own life being taken by the machinations of Andrew Ryan.
Yeah, right. No one's going to buy that. Right, Judge? Oh my fucking god. Nothing, Your Honour, as you were.
Now, following through the path, we have no issues running through, collecting all the items we need to, and our mighty wrench to fix the biosphere. Let's not be evil and prevent the death of all the denizens of this underwater facility. And to do that, it's time to head to the farmer's market. We have a single little lady to rescue. First, the buzzy bees. Head down into the hive, dump smoke everywhere, and nick everything not nailed down. People do pop in to give us a 21 gun salute, but it's cut short when the smoke stops, and tragically, they all get turned into wicker men. Now we can lure the portly popper to get caught in a camera crossfire to knock off some health. And for the second half, it's time to stop thinking about our self-preservation and accidentally on purpose repeatedly step on mines. Yes! Hey kids! Boom! Now all we need to do is head over to the sciencey place, pop this stuff we've been collecting, and fix the biosphere. If only the solution to all of our environmental woes could be solved by an insane junkie with a wrench. Now we need to get to the lab and take out the waves of splicers coming for us. We, however, were very fortunate. There just so happens to be a hero here, waiting to rescue their gooner in distress. And so, fill him up with green guff and let him do all the hard work. The hack cameras dotted about the place also adding to our security perimeter. So after running around like a headless chicken, letting everyone else protect us, and finally fixing the biosphere, we can head to the bathysphere and go to Fort Frolic. What you may consider the seedier part of Rapture, there's still looting to be done and... aha! That's interesting. It spawns some cameras when we smash the glass. That's good to know. Still, we have to deal with Hugh Hefner's Bunny Brigade, and we have very little in terms of options. You see, he wants to test our metal, and the only way he knows how is to send out a couple of masked goobers to give us a tatering. When you walk back to the main hall, all of these electric wires have been set up over the place to trap us. But we can actually use these to our advantage by letting them just accidentally remove themselves from the gene pool, and when they've all run out, just let them do a gritty cover of the Electric Six hit single High Voltage, because when we kiss, they kiss their time on this planet goodbye. But now we have to enter the funhouse proper, and it's a rather dramatic process. We have to enter multiple rooms and take some photographs of dead men to make a lovely little display. 3 of our daddy dearests also need to pop their clogs. After a little ditty from Fitzpatrick, we can capture his likeness, then pop down to the main atrium, stick the picture up on the wall and receive our prize, a useless crossbow. Nice. Now let's go to Poseidon Plaza. It's cold, so don't stay out for long, otherwise you will freeze to death and get taken away to be made into a mostly breathing fleshlight. But into the plaza properly, we're given another task. It's the same thing, again, take a photo of a dead man, remove the entourage that follows. There's also one of our metal mates knocking around that can get roped into doing the dirty work. We managed to take the worst ever 2003 era MySpace profile picture of a corpse. After luring all the chaps around the place to take on our brass bald brother, he's just sat at about half health, and in the casino there's a room littered with electric traps. The bouncer, this model of a big daddy, has a drill and only attacks with melee, meaning if we hide behind a bunch of these strings, we can
Enrage!
him and bait him into running through them. It's not quite enough to finish the job, but brilliantly the game decides to be as reliable as it normally is, and he gets stuck in a chair whilst a spider splicer chucks Captain Hook cosplay attire at him, letting us grab the girl and move on. And then another shows up, instantly. Now how are we going to finish him off? There's no one here to whittle his health down, and the last Big Daddy destroyed all of the turrets in the area. Well, we have to kill the pyromaniac Hector, so let's let them duke it out, and that sorts it. Hector, I mean. Take his arbitrary snap, and now we have the brass boy to take out. Fortunately, when we put the holiday photos in their rightful place and get some prizes, a bunch of chaps spawn in, ready to take the brass Avenger, except his health doesn't move. And neither does he. The game has broken again, so I sat here for half an hour, gently nudging people to take pot shots at him, and he refused to do anything at all. He even refused to take damage. The man was so zen, he refused to feel the pain. And so there's only one thing for it. We'll need to go back, reload a save and try again. This time we only lost about half an hour of progress. The loop around was fine, aside from our firebombing friend getting stuck down in this room, without a way to realistically deal with him. I couldn't lure a tungsten trooper down to help, so I needed another strategy. And this is where I discover the strategy. The last one we'll need. No more setting off alarms and hiding behind things to get them caught in the crossfire. We now have a plasmid that will get the job done. Security bullseye. It's
Enrage!
but for turrets, cameras and drones, and it'll let us get through the rest of the game.
Hold it!
Your Honour, have you noticed that over time the defendant is becoming more and more murdery? Well, it's just a simple observation, Your Honour, but in the beginning he was hiding behind a table on fire, and whilst I'll admit it was mostly the fault of everyone else collecting their Darwin Awards, but now he's trying to misconstrue inciting violence as nothing but an accident. What he's describing is categorically murder.
This most definitely isn't. All I'm doing is telling these evil, twisted, conniving robots not to attack me. Is that too much to ask? I'm not being evil. I don't want to be evil. How can this possibly be explained as murder? I held no guns. I didn't make them do it.
Objection!
You absolutely did.
Objection!
We need evidence in this courtroom.
Take that!
Well, the evidence is right here.
We now have a plasmid that will get the job done.
Objection!
That isn't proof of anything. Your evidence is as flimsy as the string of sanity you cling to that keeps you playing Resident Evil.
Whilst that may be true, it's also true that you went out that day with that plasmid in your hand, with the express purpose of murder.
No, I disagree. The plasmid went haywire and the robots went off of their own accord. I didn't direct them anywhere.
Objection!
You directed them by shooting a plasmid at that beefy boy.
Well, actually, I don't think these robots can have anything to do with murder.
Objection!
As we're in a British-Japanese hybrid court, we should be able to try you and find you guilty on account of the Computer Misuse Act. You are using these computers for your unlawful gain, unless you somehow feel as though you can worm your way around that.
Maybe. Judge, what year is it? And what is the complete name of the Computer Misuse Act? Meaning, that law isn't going to be invented for another 30 years, therefore it's fine.
Your Honour, bullshit.
So by running into a camera, triggering an alert and getting cameras to follow you, then sending them elsewhere, we have a solid plan. Let's acquire a flying entourage, then redirect their attention elsewhere repeatedly until the mad bomber crashes out and pops his clogs. Get Corn on the Cob's mugshot and now it's back to the foyer. And it appears the photos we handed in previously are as corrupted as the English homework I used to give to Mrs. Hunt. The man himself shows up, gives us some blue Powerade and we bugger off to Hephaestus. And honestly, we have everything we need. Security bullseye all the Ironmen, save the children, and rage everyone else. It's a cinch. Luring big daddies into electric traps and cameras and raging everyone else, it's easy street. Then we have to build the bomb, play Pipe Dream and turn this valve around letting the turrets fill everyone else in, and watch the fireworks. Then head through to Rapture Central Control.
Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly get this?
Don't be evil. Not be evil. Not be evil.
Don't be evil. Stop
Be
murdering.
evil. And be evil. And it'll be evil.
Do it for the content. That's right, the machine demands sacrifice. Why be creative and think when we can think for you? Please continue to sit still, open your eyes and watch our carefully selected glut of advertisements.
A man chooses, a slave obeys.
Oof, death by par 4. Nasty way to go.
I mean, it was a cutscene.
As if you murdered him in cold blood.
It's not only that. Remember that instance at the beginning of the game? That one splicer? Well, this is how that story goes. You see, the reason why I moved on from that splicer and carried on with the game is that I saw in the speedrun that it was very skippable, and I didn't want to learn the trick then and there. With it being so early in the run, and with me not collecting any weapons or plasmids by that point, I just thought I could go back to it later. The way you do the trick is odd. Basically, you save when you shouldn't be able to and convince the game that you haven't yet acquired this plasmid when you already have. Make your way back to where that splicer is and let the game play out the cutscene you should have had back at the vending machine. This lets you skip all the way to the medical pavilion, and that's fine. Where's the issue? Well, that only works on the original version of the game, not the remaster that I've been playing. There's basically zero differences between the two versions, aside from some bugs, a slightly better port and higher resolution textures, and I didn't realise this until much later. I also didn't want to replay the original Bioshock because, well, I couldn't get mouse movement to work properly. It was either incredibly oversensitive, like this, or it would only move in straight lines, like this. Trying to play a shooter with controls like that just isn't in the spirit of how I like to challenge run stuff. So between that and this cutscene, you can argue I've murdered once, twice, or 0 times. But personally I don't consider cutscenes to count, and the splicers is a technicality to where it's provably doable, but not on the easier to run and more accessible version of the game. Regardless, after moping around, we get to overrule a self-destruct sequence and come to terms with our own daddy issues by becoming the bigger man and being a Chad daddy ourselves. Because of our philanthropic efforts, we get led away by the rescued little girls and head to a safe haven. Traipsing through the next area, again, it's nothing difficult, nothing we can't deal with, nothing can realistically go wrong. All we have to do is allow some of the small sibling protectors to accidentally brutally remove themselves from the gene pool, run about, collect a bunch of knickknacks, make ourselves into a big daddy, and head through to the next area once the little ladies like us. It's not difficult at all, it just takes quite a long time. Oh, the game crashed. Let's try to bring it back up. Even when the game itself can't compete, it tries to fight back, and so with an hour and 17 minutes lost, we'll have to redo all of that from our last save, which was before we spent an hour letting the Ironman have tragic accidents and collecting the MacGuffins we needed. Brilliant. So after again allowing accidental deaths to be our guide, getting all the Adam we can from the bug-eyed toddlers, going through a second puberty to make our voice drop again, encasing ourselves in a bunch of brass, We can hope the game actually continues this time. An hour and 5 minutes later, do not, I repeat, do not crash. Stay. Yes! We're through. Now looking through our peephole, it's a case of an escort mission. Yeah, I can see this going a little pear-shaped. So, to try and make life easier, if we run ahead of the little sister, she'll stay there, and we can hack everything. And after getting all the equipment on side, we can try to push through and deal with the waves of people trying to stop us. Unfortunately, the little sister we're escorting dies. No bother though, we can simply get another. They are replaceable. It's not as if that goes against the way that the story was written at all. But we can use a combination of security bullseye, enrage and our Todger attached taser to get through. And now we reach the final destination. Load up on everything in the vending machine that we can, because now we need to fight Atlas. The Irishman now turned Bronxian bucko is up for a scrap. We're as prepared as we can be. We need to damage him enough to go back to this machine, then nab some of his Adam with a comically large syringe. Phase 1, he charges and throws Hadoukens at us like his Super Turbo Sagat. We can run away from him, and when he does the charge attack, try to lead him into the barrels. That'll knock off some of his health, but the rest, we're a little stuck. There aren't any cameras, no turrets, no other members of the public to incite, so that's it. We're done at the final boss, and we've actually failed. Again. Well, unless we use a new strategy. You see, there are oil slicks on the floor, and if we were to get him to throw a fireball at us whilst we're on it, or catch it with telekinesis and accidentally set it on fire, when he then charges through, he does take some damage. So, yeah, that's fine. He tries to rejuvenate, but we can slide our long hard rod into him and extract his juices instead, leading to phase 2, where he tries to earthquake his way to victory. This phase also spawns a single camera, and well, I tell the camera to leave me alone, and Atlas, bless him, he gets a little bit confused by it. Phase 3 it is. This sends a battalion of splicers our way, and we can send them off to try and fight him, but it goes rather poorly. So what's the plan? How can we deal the final blow? Well, something that hasn't come up yet at all is money. Throughout the game you acquire money to spend at vending machines, or these healing stations. If you hack them, you get all of the prices reduced. Well, what use is that? If we stand still, he'll hit us, dealing some damage, but this also triggers our electric heating vest to short, causing him to take a small sliver of damage. As in this arena, there is a health station, and we have plenty of money from our travels. We can just stand here and let him touch an electric fence to death. And that's it. The villain falls, and we're heralded a hero. Did we murder anyone? I'll leave that up to you. Bioshock without murder is complete. And now I need to thank some people who've helped make this project possible. Thank you to Zero for his voiceover talents. If you haven't seen him before, definitely check out his insane Resident Evil runs. And Walter Trite, who exported the animations from the Ace Attorney games to make some of those sequences possible. And now to the patrons and channel members who are directly supporting the channel. Dornathan, Martin Reiter, Betton, Scott T, Baltzelmoth, Rollout, Goz Ann, John Burkett, King Emo Cut, Undercover, Cool Kid 38, Hey Matey. And with that, that's it. I'll see you next time. Good night.